Trigger warning, funny biblical sexual innuendo, maybe? We'll see in just a second. To answer this question most directly, no, I don't think the author of Genesis chapter 3 believed that the consequences imposed on Adam, namely difficulty in agriculture, exclusively applied to men. And that's because merely working in the fields, which so far as we can tell was primarily done by men, working in the fields is not sufficient to produce food. All that material, those raw materials that are harvested in fields, need to be transformed into actual food. And the task of transforming it into actual food was done, so again, so far as we could tell, almost exclusively by women. Women were the ones who worked laboriously 3, 4, 5 hours a day, every day, to actually make food out of this. And that's one of Adam's consequences. It's by the sweat of his brow he will eat food, but it's not him that's actually making the food, insofar as it's not men who are primarily doing this. So it applies to both of them. In fact, women are so iconically associated with food production, and in particular with the millstone as a tool and grinding wheat down. They are so iconically associated with this, and so consistently associated with this across the Hebrew Bible, that there are several instances where grinding is used as a metaphor to sort of emasculate men or to make sort of a punny joke about women's sexuality. For example, in Judges chapter 9, Abimelech, Gideon's son, unsuccessfully lays siege to a city, and he's ultimately defeated when a woman in the city drops a millstone on his head. This is meant to be like the ultimately emasculating death. Like, not only is he defeated by a woman, but he's defeated in this iconically feminine way of, now allow yourself to be a little playful with the language here, his head is ground to death by a woman. Abimelech, this man who had the pretension to try and be king, right? He was trying to be like this hyper-masculine leader of his country, but no, he is unmanned at the end in this iconically feminine way. We can see a more somber example of this in Job 31, where Job is giving this list of like conditional confessions. If I have done this bad thing, then may this other bad thing happen to me. If I have done this bad thing, then may this other bad thing happen to me. And one of the things he lists is, if I have committed adultery, then may my wife grind for another man. And again, this is not may she grind on a millstone for another, may she make cakes for another man, but this obviously has a sexual connotation to it. Food production is so consistently associated with women in the biblical imagination across a range of texts writing in a range of genres that one of the primary tools of food production, the millstone, becomes functionally synonymous with femininity. Because this association is so strong and so consistent, it's very difficult for me to imagine that the author of Genesis 3 thought that Adam's consequence, the difficulty in agriculture and food production, would have fallen on Adam and other men alone rather than affecting everybody in the world.